Hey, beings of infinite possibility. Today's episode is part 2 with Kim Charlson and Monty. If you heard part 1, you know that Kim is a channeler who channels a spirit guide named Monty. We got the chance to ask Monty some questions, including some from listeners. So stick around and hear what he has to say. I'm Lauren Leon.
And I'm a cowboy.
Oh.
On a steel horse I ride. And I'm wanted. Dead or alive.
We are a married couple, I think, learning how to develop our own intuition. And this is episode 85 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
I let it go a little bit longer there because I was rapping real hard. That's okay though. I should have recorded that one because that would have gotten us. That would have made us lose some followers.
It was so aggressive.
I was yelling.
You were yelling, and you were yelling about like Xannies and crannies and
suppositories.
This show has taken a nosedive into the deep, dark underworld.
When I rap, I can't be held responsible for what comes out of my mouth because I am not in control of it. Maybe I'm a rap channeler.
Who are you channeling?
I'm channeling someone who has a serious problem.
Okay. You guys, we're back with Kim. She's amazing. And I think a lot of you know that because we've heard from you that you started listening to her podcast and that you just really enjoyed the last episode. So now we get to hear from Monty. And let me just tell you, the things that Monty was saying was really revelatory.
Monty knows his shit. Monty's a big thinker and the concepts are high, but he gets grounded too and like tells you exactly what you need and what's up. So
and what Frank needs to hear.
I'm never clear. I'm always getting a little jab from the spirit guides and stuff.
They know you can take it. I feel like
I also think it's funny.
Yeah.
More.
So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as we did. And don't forget, there's always some extra stuff on Patreon. So keep an eye out for that. We love you.
Love you. Monty time.
It's Monty time.
It's Monty time.
Kim, I'm so happy that you're back to talk with us and that you've brought our pal Monty with you. We already feel like we know Monty and we're excited to talk to him. So, what are the rules? I mean, you already said no conspiracy theories. So there's a lot going on right now. We're not going to address any of that because we want this to be sort of a timeless thing.
Yeah, he also will decline to answer the conspiracy theories for the most part and be more referring it back to you.
Yeah.
Because we do have people that ask about that. And he'll be like,
sure.
Okay, so what is this actually saying about your worldview and your energy and where you're at? So
fantastic.
That's how he handles those questions. But in terms of the rules of like how it works, and this applies for all the sessions, we always take 3 deep centering breaths. That way we're able to receive. So I'd ask the listeners, and when we get to that point, that they do too.
Okay.
And then I will say an invocation, and that kind of sets the energetic tone. So it gets us all into a place where we're ready to be in that higher vibration space and really be open to receiving whatever wisdom comes through. And then from there, I will get quiet, and you guys can edit that part out for the listeners. It'll take me 1 to 2 minutes to get connected. And then the next voice that you'll hear will actually be Monty. Okay. And he's let me know that for today's session, he is going to do a little like welcome message at the beginning for the listeners about what they're going through and what the energy is like right now that he wants them to pay attention to. Okay. And then he will ask you for your first question from there. So then he'll ask you if you've completed all your questions when he kind of feels like we're to the end here. Mm-hmm. And then he usually gives a closing message of everything he wants you to take away from it. And today he's going to kind of loop in what he says in the welcome with all of the questions to kind of give it a narrative thread that people can, he's using the word latch on to. and follow that thread throughout all the way to the closing message of what they can do after listening to this episode. Then after that, he will say his last thing he always says is, "That is all." And then I will ground back down and then I'll come back. And that usually takes a minute or two. I'm a little woozy when I come out right immediately. But then if you guys have any questions, then we can chat as human to human at that point.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
By the way, I'm going to start utilizing that is all with my children. I feel like that's a great strategy.
Like, really spoken.
Yeah.
He also refers to himself as a collective we, but he is masculine. So I call him a he, but he refers to himself as a we. So his pronoun choices are a little confusing for humans in that way.
Fine.
He's in good company then.
All right. So we good to get started?
Let's hit it.
Okay. So we're going to take our 3 deep breaths and just allow ourselves to center into this moment, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Deepest breath of the day, breathing in and breathing out. Dear Divine Oneness, thank you so much for bringing into this moment of all the coordinations that had to happen along both in all of our journeys, both in human and in non-physical form. We are so thankful for all of this coordination. We send you great appreciation and thanks for everything that you have done to create this synchronicity. We are so thankful for Monty, for the guidance that he will provide today, for all of the listeners and their openness to receive the guidance. We are so thankful for our respective spirit teams, for the guidance that they provide us. We ask that for all of those, you continue to provide resources, love, assistance, and help along their spiritual journeys. We send love and appreciation to Mother Earth for all the ways that she holds us, for the abundance that she brings us, and we recognize that everything in physical manifestation is a product of her. And so we send her great gratitude for all of this and more. We send love and appreciation for all of the peoples who are suffering right now through all of the different challenges. We ask, universe, that you continue to guide them in your infinite wisdom in the ways that you can. We also send thanks and appreciation to the people who challenge us, who show us the ways that we still have yet to work within ourselves to bring ourselves into a greater peace and greater alignment. We send love and appreciation to all of those people and ask that you do the same. Please continue to bless all people, places, things, ideas, beings, physical and non-physical, through all time and space. And so it is. Hello, it is Monty. How are you both today?
We're doing well. How are you, Monty?
We are delighted to be here with you. And so as we have instructed Kimberly to convey to you, we would like to begin with an opening message, and then we will invite questions and then close with a final message. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds great.
Thank you for your permission and for the space to bring these messages to your audience. We are very delighted and excited. So in our excitement first, we wish to underline, we will say, the importance of your own energetic envelope. And what we mean by your energetic envelope is the space in which you are contained within physical reality, not merely just your physical form, but your entire energy as it surrounds you and all of the bits and pieces energetically of who you are. You are in this energetic envelope an extension of your soul, and your focus needs to be attentive to the changes that are occurring within your energetic envelope and the energies that you are inviting in from external means into your envelope, and what happens when you do this. At this point in human creation, there are many different energies that you are dealing with, many different chaotic and great moving energies that may make you feel as though you are lost and unsure of who you are. But the more that you become attentive to the inner state within your own energy, aligning with that essence of who you are within your soul, the easier it will be for you to define what is you and what is not you, what is your energy and what is something that you have internalized from the exterior world and assumed as part of your identity. Now, as we are in this eclipse window in particular, there is a self-shaming aspect that comes with this identification process of understanding and feeling a sense of guilt and shame of when you have taken in external energies and of self-judgment of that. And what we would advise first is rather for you to remember that you have been conditioned in so many ways within human creation to allow the external world to define who you are. And so you have become part habituated to taking in those external energies without even realizing it and allowing those to become you. And we say this with the greatest of love. You are more than your external circumstances. You are more than what the external energies tell you to be and who you are. And so in this time in particular, it is required for everyone in physical and non-physical form to be attentive to their energy, to be attentive to the external energies that they are internalizing and the effect it has on one's identity. Now, we are delighted for your first question. Let us begin.
Wow, thank you so much for that. That really resonated with me.
Monty, with this interaction that we're having today, what are you hoping to accomplish in this conversation?
What a wonderful question. And it is not often a question that is asked of those that are channeled, of why they are here. It is so assumed most of the time that they are there for the best intentions. However, discernment is of the utmost importance. As we have said, you must discern those external energies before you make them part of who you are. Now, why we are here is to help all of those who hear our messages to come more into alignment with their own energy. And so we are delighted to be here as a guest on your podcast in particular, because the individuals that listen to this podcast are those that are in more of a logical state most of the time, of questioning what they are experiencing and using their logical mind. Now, logic is a very important tool, and we will not say that logic does not have its place. But when it comes to those experiences, such as what you are having in this moment, logic in many ways creates a veil of energy around your receiving centers. And so our purpose, and one of the reasons why we are here with you, is because our energy comes in a very logical format. That when we are discussing, we are conveying energy through that logical veil, because your logic can make sense of it and understand it. But then you are allowed to receive the energetic lessons, the energetic changes that come with channeling. And so it is a more effective way for those who are very logically focused to engage with channeling of this fashion.
Okay, that's awesome. In line with that, do you have any advice in terms of when people of our collective of this podcast should allow for logic to be at the forefront? And then what's the proper handoff to making it a spiritually important lesson?
Yes, logic has its place, of course, but it is something that should either occur before or after a spiritual experience. That the experience itself needs to be experienced without logic interfering, as it is that veil of energy that prevents many times those unrecognizably illogical things to come through that energy. So what we mean by this is, before you begin a spiritual experience of any kind, ask yourself, is this something I feel I should be engaging with? Is this something that feels aligned for me, that feels good to me? Now, it is a feeling, but the logical mind is what is doing the assessment in that way of taking stock of what you feel capable of what you feel is appropriate for you. Now, it may be that you actually quite decide, logic mind is saying, no, it is not time yet, but you feel within yourself something deeper of, I must investigate this. And we would say, rely on that. Allow your logic to be a reasoning for you, but do not always say, yes, this is the only judgment I can have. And you discern at the beginning, and this keeps you engaged in such a way that you are also protected. Logic, in many ways, is a protective mechanism. Now, when you go into the spiritual experience or begin to have one spontaneously, allow the logic to be set to the side. Allow yourself to experience everything there is to experience in that moment. Pay attention to your emotions, as they are an energetic guide. And if at any time difficult emotions come up, that are not guided by logic, allow yourself to pause, to feel those emotions and make an emotional determination if you wish to continue to engage in that spiritual experience. After the spiritual experience has come to its conclusion and the event is terminated, then begin to engage again with logic. Use your discernment. What was it that I experienced? Can I make sense of it? Does it fit with my understanding of the world? If it does not, does it fit with the vast understanding of the world and that I need to change my perspective? How did I feel in this moment? What is it that has changed within me? Asking those sorts of questions, again, is a logical process, not an emotional one, but a logical assessment process. And this will help you understand and begin to integrate those spiritual experiences that you had.
What a nice thing to say. And I'll tell you why. Because so often when we experience a spiritual thing, it feels so emotional. And then once we start thinking about it too much, it allows, if there's a certain level of discomfort with that spiritual experience, you introduce some doubt into that experience.
Yeah.
And that doubt can lead to two things. And the first one, which is maybe the not great one, is the what do you call it? The
doubt
ignorance.
of self.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then your suggestion, it seems like, is saying that once that logic mind pops in again and provides doubt, you use that to spur investigation. What else does it mean? And then you go through the cycle again. It sounds like there's no shame in that cycle. That's how some of us operate.
Indeed, doubt is not a shameful energy by any means. And this is something that we would offer to your listeners, is that there are no shameful energies. Shame is conditioned. Guilt is conditioned. If you remove the external world, would you feel guilt or shame? It is dictated by only external circumstances. The difference between guilt and shame needs to be defined slightly. Shame is that you are being put upon externally, that you yourself are not valuable because of who you are. Whereas guilt is that you have acted out of alignment with expectations of who you are and who you should be. Those are the differences between guilt and shame. Now, when we take any kind of energy and we leave it within its own space, outside of any external interactions, the judgment of whether or not an energy is deemed desirable or undesirable is based off of two things. First, the conditions of your assessment. What is it that brought you to that understanding of that energy? The second is your soul alignment with that energy. And that is the one we would offer that you need to line up more with than the conditioned understanding. Your soul alignment has certain energies that you collaborate and work with that you find desirable. You have those intentions within your soul of what you have found over previous lifetimes and previous experiences of, yes, I love this energy. I love collaborating with it and working with it. And so I find it desirable. There are other energies that you do not find desirable because they did not mesh well with you, we will say. They are energies that were out of alignment. And so you have found those energies to be undesirable. And so you go through a process of learning which energies you are drawn to, where you wish to be within the energetic poles of polarity, and where you wish to reside and spend your time and feel as though you are able to express your soul externally by collaborating with these energies.
When you're talking about energies, are you mostly talking about people's energies, or like kind of an idea around something, like something that you enjoy?
It is the true essence of the energy itself that we are speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
In understanding that everything is energy first. It can be an amalgamation of different energies and different combinations, but everything within manifest reality and non-physical reality, that is an important point, is energy primarily. We are a non-manifest being. We are pure energy. Our soul, in its essence, is a combination of different energies that have come together to create an identity in separation from the universe as a whole. Those different energies in their combinations and the experiences of shifting those energies over time to what we have preferred to be, to make our identity, is what creates who we are. And this applies for everything and everyone in creation.
So going back to what you're talking about, is there, we are living in an age where there is, on a daily basis, we are being inundated with more information and news than any one person can possibly handle. Yes. And I know for a lot of people that there is a, you were talking about like engaging with energies that align with our true purpose. But I know for a lot of people, it feels like, oh, if you shut out some of those energies that, or the knowledge that they exist, that you're being ignorant or something. What's the right amount of living into your own true life energy versus what you are allowing in from the outside world that doesn't quite align?
Now, what is important to understand is that you can exist within your energetic envelope in any conditions whatsoever. When you are fully within your energy and you are self-sourced in that way, of that you are dependent on your life force being your soul, and thus the connection from your soul to the divine, that is your source of life, rather than taking in external energies and making those your source of life, your source of identity. Now, when you are fully aligned with allowing your identity to be your soul rather than external energies, you can go throughout the world without absorbing those energies because you are full of the energy of you, full of the energy of the divine nature of what you are. Now, as you interact with those energies you find undesirable, which we could term in this discussion lower vibrational, difficult, chaotic energies, that you may find that they are negative for you, you can still be among those energies, but not absorbing them. You can interact with them, but not make them who you are. So we would not say that it is to abstain, to say, I am no longer engaging with the world, I am ignoring the news, I do not need to do that. But rather, instead, coming into that energy of your soul, allowing that to be your life source, allowing that to be your identity, and then interacting as you choose with external energies, being aware, not ignorant of those energies, and understanding your collaboration with them. You do not need to take them in to you. You do not need to become them. And so it is recognizing when you are becoming those energies, when you are taking them in, that when you can interact with those energies in whatever form they may be, such as the news, and not allow that to dictate who you are being, then you have been successful in that effort. And it is a lifelong endeavor. And again, you should not beat yourself up when you feel guilt or shame, but remember that those too are energies that you can uncover the reasons why they are there and resume your focus on your own identity. Does that answer your question?
I believe it does. I have a follow-up on that.
Beautiful.
I've read that people who are naturally empathetic have a tendency to have a more porous energetic field, and that they
Correct.
might have a hard time separating themselves from those influential energies that they don't feel like interacting with. Do you have any advice for people that are that do feel that way in terms of like how to maintain their own energy field without letting other stuff in?
Yes, there's two parts to this. The first is, why are they empathetic in the first place? In many cases, this empathy is a conditioned behavior as a result of events that happened in one's lifetime, in this particular life only. And it is important to investigate where that conditioning came from. You can use any modality that you wish, whether that is energy healing or meditation or past life regression. Any of those are fine to help you identify in this life in particular where those conditionings came from. We would also add therapy to that list. We are being reminded by the rest of our collective. Now, as you go through that process of understanding, why am I so empathetic? You may investigate that actually you have been conditioned to be empathetic over multiple lifetimes in past life regression, or in just understanding that this issue does not come from just this lifetime. and that you are repeating this over and over. It can be something that you are still working through on a spiritual level to understand that your empathy, while it is a skill that you have developed over time, is coming at great cost to you being your own energy. Now, empathy can still be done without taking energy into yourself. And these are the two different types of empathy. Empathy, where it is not beneficial, and this is step 2, is when you allow yourself to take in someone else's energy, to take that on as your identity. For example, when someone is doing a healing, if they are doing Reiki or quantum or any other type of energetic healing on a subject, and they begin to feel a pain in their back to help them identify the pain in the individual that they are treating, then that is empathy. They are taking in that energy and making it their identity. The same can be said of when you have friends, that they are undergoing a difficulty, and so you take on that difficulty. Now, it can be purely energetic, and you begin to take on the emotional state, the energetic state, or even the physical state of someone else. It becomes your identity. But it can also be that you begin to take action to resolve, because if it is your identity and you do not want to be that, the only route that you see to solve it is to take action. So recognizing again, when you are taking in that energy, making it your identity, why it is happening, and the resulting action that you take. Just observing and understanding. But for this step 2, what it is that when that occurs, you do some remedial meditation, some remedial focus on the energy of your soul. The place where you can most feel the energy of your soul, we would recognize that you are entirely that energy, but for humanity, it is often right in your chest, right directly above your heart, in what is called the soul seat in many traditions. This soul seat is a place where you can focus just intently on this space to reconnect with the energy of your soul. And then ask your soul, just in its own space, its own time, and its own effort, with no requirement of your psychic abilities, to expand out from you, to envelop your entire envelope, to allow yourself to come back into that identity. And merely by doing this exercise routinely, every time that you feel you are taking on emotions from someone else or acting in a way to resolve identity crises, that will help you to tune back into who you really are and remember that. And in that remembrance, you will begin to shed those other energies that you have taken on as your identity.
Very helpful.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like that is kind of a good segue into one of our listener questions, because as we absorb so much from everything that's going on in the world right now and in our country, things can feel, as our listener put it, it seems bleak and dark right now. So the question is, are we collectively headed to a more positive future?
Yes. What we would say is that collectively, it is a choice that you are making as a collective. Humanity, in its great, infinite wisdom, we will say, because humans are very wise in their own right, are at a choice right now. And as many have talked about and predicted, there is this choice of what is my reality. And there will be those that choose to be working towards a positive, beneficial to all reality. And there will be those that do not. But the more that choose one way, the more that will change the energy, and those will be brought, much kicking and screaming along the way, to something more positive. Now, what we will say is the reason why it feels so bleak right now is that portion of society and human creation is going through a process of realizing that they are being encroached on by the energy of positivity of the rest. Now, it is a smaller minority than what you believe. It may seem as though it is everything you see, everywhere you look. But if you truly understand, those individuals also have great love within them.
They are not full of hate in the way that you may see. There are things that they love just as vehemently as you do. And so they are too creating positive energy in the same way. And so because you are holding that positive energy in a much more profound way, and they are holding some of that positive energy, they are also going to make the choices of going towards positive energy in their own right, just not completely as entirely as others may. But that is why we see humanity moving in a positive direction, because within each human individual, there is still great love, even though there may be residing great hate, great frustration, great other negative emotions you would like to avoid, trauma, challenge, all of those. Even some of those that are very physically manifest, such as war and famine. All of those energies are also accompanied by great love indeed. Those who are still experiencing or causing those issues still have positive energies within them. And so recognizing this within yourself of where you have an abundance of positive energies and where you take on that identity of negative energies within yourself, that is your work to do. To notice when you are taking the identity of this small portion and making it yours. And the more that you can refrain from doing that and instead hold the love that you have within your heart and love them even still for what they are doing, because they are showing you where you have absorbed that identity into who you are as well. It is a difficult process, and not everyone will succeed all the time, and we understand, but it is part of that process that humanity is going through. And there will be those that will continue to reside in that reality of negativity. As you, I'm sure, understand within your own life, there are certain individuals that no matter how many good situations and how many synchronicities and opportunities come their way, they are always stuck in that negative mode of being. Those undesirable energies that even they don't want to be, but they cannot seem to move out of it. Those people will always be part of humanity. Always.
Is there, like, I feel like there are some people who are of the belief that there are just evil humans. And I tend to be of the belief that, like, I tend to go towards I can see all perspectives. And I also have this deep, strong belief that at everyone's core, they think they're doing what's best. Someone would strongly disagree with me and say, no, there are evil souls out there. And I'm kind of wondering, like, before someone chooses this life, do they make a choice that is, I'm gonna be kind of an a-hole. Or like, yes, I'm gonna cause a lot of destruction. And that is part of my path because I need to learn something, I don't know. Or is that like, oh, you veered off and now things have to happen to make sure you, like, get on the right path? Or, like, I'm just kind of trying to figure out, like, where that decision gets made. Is it in free will or is it before they hit the earth?
Yes, this is a very theoretical question, so we will be giving you a theoretical answer, so please bear with us as we are discussing this. So, in its essence, the universe is neutral, and this is a fact that is much discussed, and some have different opinions, but in our perspective, the universe in all of its entirety adds up to neutral. It is all that is. It is also nothing. It is everything and nothing, so therefore it is neutral. Do you understand and agree with this premise before we continue?
Yes.
Beautiful. Now, if you do not agree with that premise, for the listeners, that is okay. You have a different perspective. But we would ask you just to be open, understanding this premise. So, with the universe as neutral, each and every one of us that is in creation, physical or non-physical, is a separate being from all that is. We exist in our individual identity. And inside of our individual identity, we have chosen that amalgamation of energies that we find desirable and undesirable. Some of those desirable energies may be love and light and patience, but it could also be destruction and chaos. That is a preference that you have chosen. So it is not necessarily that some energies are evil or good, because as we discussed before, all energies serve a purpose. All energies are beneficial in some way. You may be someone that has chosen, we will group them together, those ideas of positive energies. From the other side, those energies that you consider negative, they consider positive, and they see the energies that you consider positive as negative. They are merely different perspectives within the energetic plane. So, it is this idea that everything exists in balance. Everything adds up to neutral. So therefore, there are those that are inclined to more of an amalgamation of energies you would find positive, and those that would find an amalgamation of energies that are negative. But the universe, as we have said, is neutral, but that does not mean that it is not getting to something you would consider more positive over time, because it is your perspective that dictates that positivity. So, as such, as there is a conditioning of saying these energies are more positive and we are collectively picking these energies over time, that does not mean that these negative energies will disappear. They will still be there. But it will be that humanity in its creation is moving towards more positive energy. And therefore, the reality in which you reside feels more positive over time. And this is something that we will remind all listeners about, is that although there are many negative energies in your perspective, humanity is in a significantly more positive place than it has ever been before. We are able to speak with you right now through this technology that allows us to come into this moment. Most humans are able to be cared for in some manner. Most humans are able to live with a relative sense of health and freedom in a way that was previously not possible even a few hundred years ago, let alone eons within human creation. It is a perspective right now of that you are very aware of these energies that you feel are very negative and how they are encroaching on you. Because again, as you are seeing them, you are taking them in and allowing them to become part of your identity. But you must recognize that there are parts of you that do enjoy those energies, maybe to a lesser degree or a different format. For example, if you are someone who does not agree with violence as an energy, and yet violence in many ways, in its essence of that energy, is very much a structure of your existence all the same. There are other modes of violence. It could be something as simple as watching American football. It is a very violent sport. But there are other forms of violence as well. Violence in terms of how food is produced. Even if you are a vegetarian or vegan, if you believe that all has consciousness, as we do in our perspective, harvesting is violent to those that are harvested. And so it is a balance of these energies within yourself of understanding what it really is the format that you have an issue with. Now, when it comes to answer your question more fully, when it comes to electing your preferences, those are developed over time, over many lives. If you are a soul that has not been incarnate before, that does not mean that you have not existed in separation. You are just a non-physical being before coming into incarnation. And as such, you have had experiences with different energies in all of their different formats and interpretations, whether physical or non-physical, and your interactions that have led you to understand, yes, I like collaborating with this energy more, and so that is my preference. And so when you go from life to life to life, you carry those preferences with you. And sometimes it can be an elected choice of, in this life, I really want to experience this energy, so I'm going to seek it out. I'm going to experience that state of being. And I'm going to take those external energies and I'm going to internalize them in this way because my soul has them, but I want to experience them as external realities. And that is something you can choose, certainly. But for the most part, many souls develop this over many, many lifetimes. And it is the altering from one preference to another as you go through different experiences with those energies in collaboration, where you begin to change your own amalgamation of energies. And that is how souls change over time. They do not necessarily change in their makeup, but change in their expression of what energies they are wishing to present as their identity.
So then,
thank you for that.
So then I'm assuming that like even in our physical 3D life, that as we make our selections towards what energies we are actually attracted to, we are actually setting the course for future lives.
Correct. It is the same way as we have discussed recently on our podcast with Kimberly about spiritual gifts. The idea of that when you come into one life, you can have special talents or skills that's come innate to you. And that those are the things you should do with your life because they come easily. It is really because you have built up those skills over multiple lifetimes. And it is a remembering when you get re-exposed to those skills. Versus, that does not mean that those things that do not come naturally to you are not worthwhile. If you truly feel the desire within yourself to do this thing, it is laying the foundation for future lives where it comes more easily to you and allows your soul to experience different versions of reality.
Oh, that's interesting.
I like that. Okay, so then one more question about like collective energies and like the perceived how things feel kind of chaotic. Is that you're talking about how all things are the energy is neutral, the universe is innately neutral. Then the perceived like oscillation between like chaos and order, is that actually just perceived, or is there an actual oscillation occurring during this period? Or like I said,
Yes.
is it just exposure? Is it just new exposure to too much exposure to news?
What it is your perception of reality is extremely limited. Extremely limited indeed. There are many other places within the universe that humans do not even recognize exist. There are many other dimensions within the universe that humans cannot access. And so we would say is you don't know what is happening in all of those other places, so you cannot know the true nature of reality. You cannot understand the universe in its entirety when you are trying to view it from the perspective of your reality. Does that make sense?
Yes. I say we have too much exposure to news, and you're saying we don't have enough. Yes. that
Not so much that news is the issue here, but rather that you are seeing a small slice of reality. And so then you are saying, this is everything. That's all there is.
Right.
We're like the fish in a fish tank that's like, man, it's getting crowded in here. The humans are like, there's a lot.
No one has cleaned our tank in quite a while. Everything else must be quite dirty too. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. What a bunch of
how much
humans.
how much are we affecting other dimensions, or is it not quite like that? Is it more that we are a representation of what's going on?
Well, we would ask you, do we exist in a different dimension? Some would say yes. You are affecting us right now as we are having this conversation. We are also affecting all of the listeners in this way, and that is an energetic exchange. Of course, it is in the format of speech in this instance, but that is only the manifested form of this energy. So we would say that yes, your energies and what you are doing are affecting other dimensions, and those other dimensions are in turn affecting you. Now, again, whether or not you choose to be affected by those is how much you decide to be ensouled, how much you decide to take those external energies and allow them to be your identity. Now, of course, that is not without saying that external circumstances do not affect you, but they do not need to become you. That is the difference.
I really liked something you said earlier. You were talking about how, and I don't know if I've heard it this way before. You were talking about how, I guess I have an assumption that before this life, that maybe, especially if you hadn't been incarnated as a living creature yet, that you were kind of just like a weird, vague, like part of the blanket. But you're suggesting that there actually was like a sense of individuality even before this.
Everything that exists in the universe is also separate. The universe is the whole, and everything is separate at the same time. And as such, all of that separation comes with what is called an identity. We won't say ego, as that word is loaded, but that it has some idea of who it is in separation. And it is an investigation in many times of who am I in relation to the whole? What makes me unique and special and different? And that is understanding the expression of your unique energy. It is not a selfish thing by any means to understand that you exist in individual form, that you are separate from everything else. And that is what makes you special. And those energies that make you special is part of that. But also recognizing that you are part of the whole, that you are only one tiny facet of energy expressed.
So I think this leads to a good listener question, which is
Lauren's cutting me off. Yeah, we have listener questions we haven't gotten to.
I mean, I don't want this to be a 3-hour long.
I know. Sorry, Monty. I'll talk forever.
The problem is not us, but our channel will tire eventually. So
Sure.
We would ask that we retain our focus.
Okay.
So the question is, how can we expand our energy capacity?
Ah, what a beautiful question indeed. The way to expand your energetic capacity is to accept more energy and tighter yourself to it, basically. But again,
You say tighter?
Tighter, as in you take in some, you allow it to expand, you rest there. You take in some, you expand, you allow it to rest there. You are adjusting your capacity bit by bit. You do not do it all at once because that can cause many issues, including psychosis. And this is why you do it over time. Now, when it comes to how to actually do that, it is a question of where you are taking those energies from. Are you taking in those external energies and allowing them to be in your energetic capacity? Are you taking your soul and allowing it in its infinite form to be that capacity? And as a reminder, we have said, although briefly, that your soul is what is connection to the divine. That is how you can have that being your life force. And so therefore expanding your energetic capacity bit by bit by bit. If you do it too quickly, this is the issue, is that you expand your energy out, and with energetic movement comes chaos. Chaos truly is energy moving quickly from place to place to place. That is all that chaos is. Some see it as a negative energy again, but again, it is just energy moving very quickly. Now, if you expand out too fast, all of a sudden, that energy is moving, it is very ungrounded, it is very unintegrated, thus results in chaos in your life, your emotional state, and your psychology.
Okay. This is a more, I think this can be relatable to other people, but this was a very specific question. It says, I'm a partly closeted witch due to depression, life, whatever else. I feel like I let my practice go by the wayside. I don't know why. I just lapsed. I feel like I should go back to it, but I don't know where to start. But the second I acknowledged it, shit really hit the fan. Is that why my life feels as though it's in shambles? Or is this a moment of ebb and flow of life? Did I do this to myself? I've been listening to Kim's Vessel and Voice, and everything feels like it's clicking into place. Does Monty have any advice for me on next steps?
Yes. The step that you need to take first is to forgive yourself. That is the important part here of that. You feel as though you have lapsed and you don't know how to get back in. And that is coming from the version of you that is saying, how could you lapse in the first place? How could you have done this to us, to ourselves? You are causing all of these issues that are happening in the world and in your life. You are the problem. You are the reason. The first step is just forgiveness, for understanding that life happens. And it happens in such a way that you are the product not only of your choices, but you are affected by the choices of others. the concept that you create your entire reality is a very selfish one indeed, ignoring the choices of the others, of the collective, of all of us that impact each and every one of us. It is within your own energy to change that reality in your interaction with it, but it is not always your fault in that way. It is a very victim blaming mindset to say, you did wrong. And so therefore, everything in the world is your fault. And we would say, really, is that really your fault? And so it begins first with forgiveness, of understanding that although you have erred in what your preferences are, allowing yourself to come back into that wholeness of who you are is through forgiveness, by accepting and understanding that the past has happened, but you are here in this moment now, and you do not need to carry that past forward with you. Those energies can stay there. But in this moment of reality, you can forgive yourself and reunite with that essence of who you are. Now, when it comes to actually getting back into that practice, do whatever you desire, whatever feels right, whatever allows you to feel a sense of ease, a sense of connection with yourself, a sense of excitement. All of those are different methods that your soul is communicating with you through your emotions of saying, yes, we want to do that. These are the energies we wish to collaborate with, and we are excited for it. We are excited to manifest with those in reality, to create, to express who we are. So just listen to that small voice inside of yourself. But forgiveness takes off the veil that you have put there to listen to that bit of who you are. Now, we hope that this has answered all of the questions, as it was multiple parts here. But the other thing that we would add, finally, is a reflection on the idea that you create your reality, but are simultaneously responsible for everything that happens to you, as we have talked about briefly here. Reality is a product of all of the different choices. You were not someone who chose to create, for example, the internet that allows this podcast to exist. But somehow you say all of these bad things that are happening to me are my reality and I have created them. Is this not your reality right now? And yet you did not create the internet that allowed for this technology. We would say that it is a reframing within yourself of radical responsibility for your own energy, yes, but a radical understanding that everyone's choices affect everyone else. You are part of a larger whole. So be responsible for what you can, but understand you cannot be responsible for the whole.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And I mean, I relate to that. So,
yeah. I guess this is related. Monty, I've heard we all have like our own energetic vibration, like each individual has a frequency. Is there
that amalgamation of energies that we have talked about is another way of terming that. Yes.
If you like really inherit a certain belief or reality that you want to have come true, does it change your frequency so much that like you will repel other things or people that resemble the opposite? Or is this too like I don't know, theoretical?
No, that is correct. So what we will say is, if we imagine the universe as a large plane of energy, yes, it does not exist this way, but we will use this just for our explanation. And on this plane, the universe in its entirety is in the middle of all that is. And then as you go further out from that center in different ways, there are different energetic preferences that are pronounced within the different plane. So for example, of using our previous discussion, violence is over here, love is over here. Affection is here, maybe close to love. They are grouped together as similar energies of similar vibrations. Violence is also with hate, with harm to others. Those other energies are grouped together. And so what we would say is that when you come into creation, you are saying, okay, I shall take this from this part of the plane and this from this part of the plane, and I like this and this. And then there can be parts that you don't even recognize that you are taking from the parts you say you don't like, but you do. And so what you do is you create yourself in this way of this identity, much in the same way that is on the plane, but you would say, yes, I am here on the plane mostly. And so I am among all of these other energies and people that are like those energies. And that is my vibration for the most part. Not recognizing that from time to time you go over here rather than staying where you are, but allowing yourself to be among the other energies that are similar, that you enjoy. It is that attractive element because there is the polar opposite on the other side of the plane. It is not quite such a polarity. It is a field of energy, we would say, on this plane. So it is more that when you begin to identify as a certain amalgamation of energies, it is that you are picking that point on the plane to reside in. And so you are hanging out, we will say, with those other energies, attracting those energies to you. And in the same way that you are repelling the other energies on the other side of the plane that are the opposite. Now, what we would say, and this is important, is that energies exist in polarity. There can be two different energetic interpretations of the same energy. So, for example, we would use love and hate. Love is one pole, hate is the other pole. They are the same energy, but they are on opposite sides and different expressions of that energy. The energy in its essence is the same. So, for those who love very deeply, they often see how much hate there is in the world because they are the same energy. They are the same energy. And so they recognize the opposite pole and say, oh, I do not want that. And so they more insistently stay in their pole. But at the same time, they recognize the formats of that energy in other places. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The way you describe it is so interesting because it almost, in my mind, it creates like almost a map, like a star map of like places and things that you want to be a part of.
Yeah.
It is an oversimplification, but a good way for the logical mind to think about it.
Listen, Monty, oversimplification is kind of my jam. So that's my language.
We can see that in your energy because it allows you to compartmentalize different aspects of who you are to say, I am being this, I am being this. What is required for you, and we are calling you out a bit here, is to integrate that oversimplified version of who you are into a more integrated whole.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Ooh.
I'm that's what I'm working towards. I appreciate that.
We're delighted for your reception of that advice.
Okay, there's one more listener question.
Yes.
Which is, how can we strengthen the connection with our own guides?
One of our favorite questions. The first step is to just ask them to make themselves known to you, so that way you can understand that they are indeed there. So ask for a particular sign for them to show you, to recognize that they are present, and make it something easy for you to see that is different in your day. So for example, for our listeners right now, you may want to pick a flamingo if you do not live in Florida, and ask to see a flamingo in any form, just so that way you can know that your spirit guides are there. And be patient, be open. Do not allow your logic mind to filter it out, but just say, this is a fun game I am playing. I will look for the flamingo with curiosity. And if it is there, then it is up to me then afterwards to use my discernment to decide whether or not it was valid. But in that moment of that spiritual experience, I'm just going to explore with my curiosity and allow myself to see the flamingo wherever it may be, however it may present itself. After you have done this, and you recognize that your spirit guides are present with you, they do care about you, and they are an entity source outside of you, recognizing that you could not create something in reality for you to notice, then this allows you to begin to deepen your relationship with them, because you must first recognize that your spirit guides exist in the first place for you to be able to engage with them. Now, after you have done that, the next thing to do is to allow you to raise your energy to the level where spirit guides are. In spirit, there are many different levels of vibration depending on how, we will say, high the vibration is. It is not really the best way, but it is an easy way for humans to understand. It has to do with spiritual experience more than anything else. But spirit guides, although we have copious amounts of spiritual experience, we step down our energy to be closer to physical manifestation. So that way we can be near you, to monitor, to help, to guide. We will never interfere. So if you're questioning of, I must not have spirit guides because all this terrible things happens to me and no one ever interferes, that is not what we do. We are there to help you make choices. But again, you're responsible for your own choices. Now, As you learn how to raise your energy up to the level where we are, you must also learn to ground your energy so that way you can bring through the messages that we send you and allow yourself to be in this space of connection, but to open your heart in particular to receive. Your spirit guides are there with unconditional love. And for many, the first time that you connect with us, you feel that love in its overwhelming sense. Allow yourself to feel, have that spiritual experience, and then question it later. Be patient with yourself. Let go of any fears that you have. Spend time knowing what those fears are and allowing them to be let go. That is often the thing that holds people back the most from communicating with their guides. It is either fear or lack of energetic capabilities.
Well, you've mentioned that you're part of a collective, and I want to know what that means. And I also want to know if there's anybody or any individual in that collective that maybe we've heard of. I don't know. Maybe you've got a favorite. Elvis? I have no idea.
It would be Archangel Michael that you would have heard of, that we are part of a collective with. We are separate beings, so we are not a grouped collective in the same way as some others that will speak through one particular voice, but we are a collective of separate beings that are here in an effort to help humanity. Each of us has a different proclivity within that, such as we work with Kimberly and allow to channel to bring that, as we have said, logical mind to get through the energy to be received, to allow those changes in union with the soul and therefore union with the divine. Each of us has a different task. We do not want to use the word job because that feels like an assignment, but something that we have chosen to do. And so we are collaborating with those different beings in such a way that we are able to come to a union in that way. Now, we understand that you have a reluctance about angels in particular, but what we would like you to know is that those are names given to these beings by humanity. They may not term themselves angels. So if that helps you feel more comfortable with it, understand it is a human creation of angelship rather than the angels themselves.
Got it.
Monty's really calling you out a couple of times.
Monty, does your collective have like a team name?
No.
Okay. It's more just your mission that you identify as?
We're a group of different beings, and so we collaborate from time to time in such a fashion, but it is not so formalized in that way. It is more that we have a union of energetic intention that we are holding together.
Got it. Cool.
Is that our final question for today?
That's our final question. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the collective?
We would like to answer one final question that you inquired about why we use the pronoun we, yes?
Yes.
Now, we use the pronoun we because we are a specific individual being, but we are an integrated being of a collection of all of the past lives that we have lived. And so we have many different aspects to who we are. Now, as we had previously discussed with Kimberly and she relayed to you, we are that spirit guide plus level, as it were, that we have existed in other formats. Our energy is stepped down at this point further than it is naturally for us to reside in. And so there is a intentional split of ability in between our truest self and who we are presenting in this moment. And so we say we because we are conveying from that higher echelon to our lower selves to this moment now. As Kimberly comes more into her channeling abilities, she will be able to begin to work with other versions of us that are more ascended. Does that make sense? It is a bit of a confusing idea for humans because we reside in multiple planes at the same time.
It does. Yeah. Lauren and I think about it a lot like remote control cars where you can control something from far away and it still works. Monty, is it uncomfortable for you to be this low?
Yes, it is.
Well, I really appreciate the discomfort you have to go through to impart wisdom.
It's also uncomfortable for us to be in a physical form.
It's true.
Yeah. Good point.
Even for me sometimes.
Yes. We would like to close with a message to bring all of the things that we have discussed together. The most important step that you can take within your own spiritual exploration and development is to assess the ways that you have taken those external energies, whether they are shame or guilt, or even just beating yourself up, and it made them into who you are. The more that you recognize the difference of who you really are inside, that tiny little energy and voice that maybe you have suppressed, and allow yourself to tap into that on a more consistent basis, the more you will be able to deal with the chaos and the bumps and the turmoil of life. The more that you will feel that sense of alignment and centering, regardless of what is happening around you, regardless of the spiritual problems or struggles that you are going through and the experiences that make you question your reality and your perception of the world. The more that you spend time with that energy, term it your soul, yourself, your identity, whatever you want, we do not mind. But the more that you spend time with that energy, the easier you will have of going through this process, becoming who you want to be, and expressing that self in manifest reality in a way that feels authentic, that feels aligned, and feels true to you. We send you great love in this endeavor. That is all.
Thank you, Monty.
Thank you so much.
Holy moly, how long was that?
Sorry.
Like, what time is it even? Oh my God, it's 1:30.
I'm so sorry.
We kept you.
Oh, it's fine. I'm really glad I ate lunch.
It's not we. It's me.
It is you.
I was like, oh, we'll make this quick, make it easy. Nope.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
I mean,
and if you guys have any other questions that pop up, or ever want to do a session with Monty, we are always available. So, And as you re-listen to it, you will realize more things. Like I'm going to tell you right now, it's an unfolding when you listen to him. It's not all apparent like the first go through or even the second go through. So,
yeah. Oh, so helpful. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Visit clairvoyaging.com for merchandise or to access free resources to help you on your spiritual journey. Subscribe to our Patreon for more content or join for free to chat with us. Clairvoyaging is a fiscally sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, a 501c3 charity. Make a tax-deductible donation to support our mission to foster understanding, respect, and curiosity for diverse spiritual belief systems. Clairvoyaging is a production of Wayfeather Media.